If you've ever been in a relationship with somebody who just gaslights you every time you talk to them, that's what listening to the news is like for me. It is very tiring. It takes a lot out of me. It's draining. I feel tired just listening to the news. I did a news cleanse. I just didn't listen to the news for 2 or 3 weeks, and it was amazing. It was great. But now, of course, I'm doing this anti-narrative experiment, so I gotta listen to the news now. It's sort of like what Gorbachev says, or maybe not Gorbachev, but one of Hitler's guys said, you hear the lie, you repeat the lie over and over and over again until people believe it. That's kind of what it is. I have to remind myself all the time, because I keep saying the same thing over and over and over again, over and over and over. Like, you know it's not true, but I hear it so much, I'm like, wait, maybe is it really true? And I have to come back to reality, slap myself on the face, and like, remember. All right. So anyway, if you haven't listened to the last video, I'm doing this anti-narrative project where I take the anti-financial advice of the implied direction promoted by the so-called financial expert media. So if Bloomberg or MSNBC or whatever, I'm mainly listening to Bloomberg for the past couple of days here, but that could be any news. I'm basically taking what they say, what their implied action is from their news stories is, and doing the opposite in my portfolio. So that's what I'm doing now, and we're going to see how it goes. There's two main things that I want to talk about. Well, there's two I wanted to talk about, but I was just listening here in the car on the radio, and I heard something very interesting. Because, they're talking about we're reopening and everything's going to be great. The economy is going to come back booming, really great, and all this kind of stuff. But there's a lot of things that are underlying big problems that nobody's addressing, nobody's talking about. And of course, I don't hear it on Bloomberg or the radio or any news sources. They don't talk about this stuff. But there was something that was said just now in the news report that I thought was very interesting. It was very interesting because here's what they said. They said that China is buying up a lot of grain, worldwide grain. They're buying a lot. I don't remember what the number was, but they bought a lot of grain from the United States. And this is putting a strain on global grain supply. And if something goes wrong, tiny something goes wrong, then we could see, a shortage in grain, a shortage in the supply of grain. And the reason I thought that was interesting is because it's related to all the other stuff that they're not talking about. Supply shortages, big problems in the supply chain, and inflation raising prices and all this kind of stuff. But it's just setting it up. They're setting up for something like it might not happen. I don't know. They said around June or July, grain might be short. It might not. It might be. I don't know. But I thought that was an interesting thing. All right. So I guess the two pieces of things that I want to talk about this time in terms of anti-financial advice. They've been talking a lot about, not a lot, but I've been listening in particular for Bitcoin and gold, what their sort of advice on Bitcoin and gold is. Last time I mentioned that they said you don't want to be in cash, you want to be in equities. So if you have any cash lying around, move into equities. Be in the stock market. So I got to get out of the stock market now. I need to liquidate stock market and go into cash. Whenever it's interesting, whenever gold or precious metals comes up, they don't really answer the question. Like if they're interviewing somebody, they don't really answer the question, or if they're talking amongst each other, they joke about it. Like it's such yesterday's news. It's not important anymore. Like Bitcoin is the new gold. That's a new store of value, preservation of wealth. But depending on who they're interviewing, I mean, some people they interview say like, yeah, I'm in gold. It's my protection against sort of everything. And other people say, no, I wouldn't be in gold. That's so yesterday. But to me, it seems like the general consensus that they're saying about gold and precious metals is that there's no point to be in them. There's no point to be in them. Better to be in equities, because gold just sits there and doesn't do anything. It's like yesterday's thing, right? So it kind of seems like they're saying don't go into gold. Like if you have cash, don't buy gold. So to me, does that mean buy gold? I don't know. I think so. Maybe it might. I might take a little bit of what I sell from equities and put that into precious metals. But we'll have to keep listening on that. Okay, kind of have to keep listening on that. Oh, sometimes the person just doesn't answer the question. Like they say, oh, what do you think about gold and crypto? They'll answer the crypto question. This just happened, and they didn't say anything about gold. The other thing is about crypto. It's sort of interesting now in the past week or 2 weeks or something. The price of Bitcoin has dropped quite a bit. I think like 30% from its peak, or maybe more. And it seems to me, it feels to me like the narrative around crypto has changed. 2 weeks ago, they were very bullish on it, saying you should get into it. It's a good long-term play. It's a new store of value, that type of thing. And people are diversifying into crypto and having some of their assets in Bitcoin. And you can see a lot of institutional investors now adding options for their clients to be in Bitcoin and other so-called cryptos. I might be wrong on this. It seems like their narrative has changed a little bit. Before they were really buy. Now they're not really saying buy it. But sometimes I'll have a guy on there. That says, yeah, you should be bullish cryptos long term. So I don't really know yet, like if I'm going to take any action based on their advice. Is there anything to go against it? So I don't know. So those are the two things. That's about it. Interesting story on corn. I think there's going to be a lot of problems with supply. Prices are going to increase. I think you're going to see you're already seeing higher prices at the gas station. You're going to start seeing higher prices at the grocery store and restaurants and other places. I went to the same restaurant that opened. It's really amazing pho place, and they have raised their prices a lot more than normal so-called 2 or 3% inflation, or even 4%, what the CPI numbers came out of. It's much higher than that. Gold and precious metals, they just make fun of it all the time. So to me, that's a buying signal. Like they're saying, yeah, don't, forget about those things. That's so yesterday's it. Okay, so take a little bit and move into gold and silver, precious metals. I don't know what other precious metals are there. There's others. I guess palladium and platinum, and I don't know what else. Bronze, maybe copper, zinc. Zinc is, take zinc vitamins. And then Bitcoin, I don't really know yet. If they're saying be bullish on Bitcoin for the long term, that means don't be bullish on Bitcoin for the long term. They sort of made fun of it before, depending on how it was doing, right? It's tricky with Bitcoin because it goes up and down so much. Like it's at all-time highs and then it's at lows, and the narrative around it seems to change very quickly. So 2 weeks ago it was like buy. Now they're not really saying buy so much, but it's like it's going down. Like be cautious, investors worry about this, whatever. So I don't know. That's it. That's my update for this time anti-narrative project. I'll see you around.